hear that music. I just absolutely love it. Hi, I'm Ric Drasin. Welcome to Tough and Tender. I'm your host, and today my co-host, as always, is the beautiful Inna Tuler.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, welcome here, Inna.
Yay.
We're going to talk about, we always talk about relationships. That's what this show is about. And last week we talked about marriage and all the things that go along with a marriage to make a marriage work. And this time we're talking about the things that don't work, like divorce and why they happen, because it's...
Divorce, that's not like divorce doesn't work. It's divorce is the marriage doesn't work.
The marriage doesn't work, but it goes to divorce.
Yeah, divorce is equal, marriage doesn't work.
That's right. But divorce can be very expensive, but it's most of the time always worth it. And whatever it costs you, it's worth it to get out of it. So we have some questions that people write in, thank God, and I wish you guys would write in as well because we want to hear from you. The number one question that we have on here, not the number one, but the first one is...
How common is divorce and what are the reasons?
Well, divorce is very common.
Well, about 40–50% of the marriages end up in divorce.
Now, are we talking about in Hollywood, LA area, or worldwide?
In general, I've read a couple of studies, and it's basically across the board. They're talking about 40–50% of all marriages are resulting in a divorce. Doesn't mean that you have 50% chance of getting a divorce when you get married, but in general, that's what the 40–50% first marriages. Almost 60% of second marriages.
Really?
Yeah, so the numbers are not very positive.
You mean the second time around you haven't learned something from the first time?
A lot of times you don't.
I would think that you would.
You think so. Did you?
No. Well, my first one didn't last as long as my second one. I actually doubled in time. So I must have learned something. But I think maturity and getting older and knowing yourself better, you have more lasting power, or maybe you tolerate more as you get older.
Yes, and you divorce from different reasons as well. I mean,
right.
The first time you just argue and argue and argue, just getting divorced, and you don't even trying to reconcile. Then the second time around, you're trying to reconcile, you're trying to make it work, you're trying to take some time, you try to different things, and you just get divorced at the end of the day, or at the end of the term, whatever it is, for completely different reasons, but you're still getting a divorce.
You know what bothers me about that is that the odds are not in your favor. I mean, they're 50% in your favor. And you go into a situation, you go into a marriage, and you do want it to work because you go in there wholeheartedly and you want this thing to work. You don't want it to fail. And then it does, or it didn't fail, it just didn't work. And then you have kids, like we have kids, and someday they're going to get married. Some of mine already are, and yours aren't. But you want them to have a good marriage. You don't want it to be 50% chance of divorce because it's a horrible thing to go through. So you kind of like are afraid for them to get married, and you want to make sure they have the right partner.
One of the reasons people get a divorce, that's going back to our questions, what are the reasons, is children that come in out of divorced families.
Yeah.
Almost 90% of kids that come in from divorced families will get a divorce themselves.
Yeah.
So we just have to teach them differently. We need to teach them, they need to learn from our mistakes. From the parents' mistakes, not to repeat the same ones, and make a better choice. Use different reasons for marriage, not to get married prematurely, young age. There's a lack of education sometimes as well, or girls that get pregnant really early and get married because of that. Money situation. There's a lot of different reasons why people get married and it results in the divorce, so that needs to be taken into consideration. Yeah,
one of the things, one of the number one things is money, paying your bills, not being able to have enough income to eat and go out and do things. One person wants to go out and spend, the other person doesn't want to go, can't afford it. Maybe one's working, one's not, and that can always end up in disaster.
Lack of money is lack of money. I mean, you know you don't have it, but you want it. You can't spend it, so it makes you sad that you can't, or you don't, or you can't afford it. It's not necessarily one does what. There are different goals, but the fact that there is no money and you can't enjoy your life leads to depression, and it leads to fights and arguments, and that would practically would create another reason. Well, it's better out there. Maybe I can find something or somebody that will have more money, and the grass is greener. Which is not always the case.
Yeah, I have a saying for that. The grass is always greener until you get the grass and you have to mow it, and you find all the dandruff or all the deadwood and the crabgrass and everything that's in it, because it's never greener. It's just the way it is.
Not a lot in a lot of cases.
Now, the number two, does separation always lead to divorce? I have a definitely feeling on that.
Well, are you talking from your own experience?
No, I'm talking about in general. I have a feeling about it.
If people go through separation as a way to go into divorce, yes. Sometimes separation is it's a way of cooling. It's like a cooling period. And if you go into separation and you don't want to get into divorce, then there's other ways. You go through counseling. You don't start dating anybody. Try to figure out what was your portion of making mistakes throughout the marriage. I mean, there's always a way to go back before the divorce is final, and the separation is that period.
Yes, but the separation is one thing. If the separation means that you can go out and date other people and spend time sleeping with other people, it's never going to work.
No, it's not. Separation, you're still married. So if you even go and date other people while you're separated, it's almost like an adultery because you're still married.
That's the kiss of death. I totally agree with that. I've been there, I know.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, and don't buy into this greener pasture thing, because that's always looks like it's there, but it's not.
It's green there for a period of time because it's new.
Well, during the separation, don't think, oh, I'm almost there, the divorce, because
no.
it's you know, I can get a better life, but
right. No, because it eventually wears down and you're back to reality, and it's not so green anymore. It just it turns brown, so to speak.
So I guess always to the divorce, I would say 80%. It would lead to divorce unless you're really going to separation for a reason of reconciling. Yeah. And getting back.
What are the signs your marriage is over?
Obvious. Well, I guess coming up with the conclusion of was I ever married, you know, and we discussed that.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes people don't really have a marriage, don't really have a relationship with that common us communication. They get together for some obvious reasons. They have kids, they raise kids, they live together, but they're not really having that us marriage.
They go through the motions.
And at some point it's just going to, you know, break apart. But I believe starting arguing about a lot of things, and sometimes for, you know, little things, avoiding each other, not having intimacy, wanting not to come home. Right. Even when the argument occurs, you don't really want to face the argument. And the arguments store up. It stores up, and it just explodes. So I think you have to be sure that that's what you want. Right. That you want a divorce because you don't want the marriage. I mean, it shouldn't be any hidden agendas there. No, it's a lack of communication too, because one person might tell you, no, I'm fine, everything is good, and I don't really want a divorce, and then basically they really do. And it just escalates into something, to another big argument, and then pretty soon, okay, I want a divorce. Yeah. And you've wanted it for a long time, but you never came through and said it, but you carry all these grudges, and the grudges just mount up. And you know, when it comes to question number 4, are you actually ready for a divorce? So you said, okay, I want a divorce, I don't want to be in this relationship anymore, and you get to the point, I want a divorce, and then a lot of times when you say it, and you said, okay, I'm going to go through it, then you have this buyer's remorse. Absolutely. Yeah, and a lot of times it happens, and people don't want to admit it, but many times, and they follow through with the divorce, does it never make them happier? No, they're in the process of it, and the process is going, and the attorneys are calling, and the paperwork's being filed, and they've already got the ball rolling. They're already en route to the divorce. They're driving, they're halfway there. They don't want to stop and turn around and go back because they'll look like a fool. And basically, if they really want to go back, they should. If you look like a fool or not, if it's what you really want to stay, then stay. Yeah, divorces, there's no losers or winners in a divorce. No. I mean, they're only losers. Yeah. There is no a nice divorce. No such type of deal. You know, it's really, there's none. I haven't heard anyone saying, oh, I had a nice divorce. Oh, there's no way. Oh, he's a wonderful guy. And, no, I hear that you know, it was a mutual consent, and we really wanted to do it, but basically there's other things behind it, and there's always maybe somebody in the background they left for, and then that person doesn't work out, and so you know then they're left without that person. They say, oh, I should have stayed married. So there's the number 5 question: how would divorce affect me? Well, in many ways. I mean, the cartoon. Well, it's definitely going to affect you financially. It's going to empty your pockets, brother. It's going to empty your pockets. A lot of times people stay together for money reasons. It's going to affect you mentally. Yeah. It's going to affect you mentally most of the time. You're going to have a lot of explanations to your children, to your family. Social life suffers. Usually, like if you have mutual friends, that the friends take sides. Yeah. So one couple may choose you, one couple will choose her, It's a lot of changes. It's a huge
That's
change.
so
the-
true.
Having a divorce is a simple thing, but after the divorce, the consequences and everything after that.
It's a year of, I mean, I went through it.
huge.
It was a year of a lot of paperwork and a lot of attorney work, and they want this and they want that, and they try to frustrate your day. They try to frustrate your day, the attorneys.
They coach
They
the other
coach.
side.
Yeah, and so it's a year of, oh my God, I got to do this. And I always kept a smile and kept on going, doing what I was doing. I knew in the end there would be light at the end of the tunnel. And sure enough, one day there was. But their friends did take sides.
Yeah.
And the friends that took sides now, it's too bad because those friends are still around me, but they took sides against me, and now they have to see me.
3 or 4 years ago.
And then the other person's not friends with them either, so they lost both friends.
Yeah.
So you can't really choose friends like that. The financial aspect of it really mounts up quick with lawyers. I mean, my God, if that whatever they charge $600 an hour or whatever, you'd be surprised how quick they get to $30,000, $40,000, you know, and money well spent at the end of the day when you look back and say, wow, it was well worth it.
That's if you want to do that. But another health gets affected a lot.
Yeah, can. Heart attacks.
High
blood pressure.
Depression. In a lot of ways, you start going to doctors and seeing medical bills, and then you can't afford them because you're going through divorce.
Oh, you can't afford a lot of things you go through. You have to get a cheaper car and move into a cheaper place, and you better think about it before you go. All right, so number 6 is, should I stay or should I go?
I guess back to the same, are you ready to go? I mean, you have to make a decision, I believe, and ask yourself and the other side those honest questions. Discuss that.
I think there's one good answer for that.
Yes.
Should I stay or should I go? No, I'm staying. You're going. Much easier. You don't really make money change in your life. You stay in the same position. Everything kind of works the same.
Changes are difficult.
Oh, yeah.
Any kind of change is difficult. Moving to a different apartment is difficult.
Yes.
Moving to a different town is difficult. You know, I got to the United States 20-some years ago. We moved 9 times.
Yeah.
That was difficult.
Very.
The pictures were never got up on a wall, so it was difficult. It was different school for the kids, different moving in, moving out, changing phone numbers, a lot of changes, which are not positive at all.
No.
You know, you move on to something that you know maybe at the end of the day it's going to be better, but the process is exhausting.
Yes. Very.
So divorcing is a huge change. It's a life change for you, for your children, for your family. Are you ready for it? I don't think you're ever ready for this.
You're never ready for it. It's like having a baby, and you want to make time to have a baby, and say, "We're not ready yet. We're not." You're never ready. The baby has to come by itself. Number 7 is the road to happiness. Divorce. Midlife presents a choice. What do I want to do with the years I have left? Am I still relatively young and healthy, or what else is out there for me? Well, age plays a factor there. If you're young, you got a chance. You know, if you're older, it's less of a chance. You know.
Oh, absolutely. But people don't like to think about that because the new, 70 is the new 40. Okay, and everyone nowadays with the medicine that is existing and and all those perks and health benefits that we get nowadays, we look younger, we feel younger, we don't want to admit we get older. So women in their 50s, 60s, after they've gone through 40, 50 years of, 20, 30, whatever years of marriage, saying, okay, I've done my share. Yeah. I'm done, I'm good, I've done good, now what else is out there? Right. So they get the courage nowadays. Yeah. Maybe 20 years ago they didn't, but nowadays they get the courage that, okay, I'm ready to try something new. I'm ready to explore.
But you don't always get lucky. You have to go through a lot of toads,
And again, it's different. It's a different perspective. Yeah. I mean, I do very well in relationship. I don't do well by myself. Some people been in a relationship all their life and suddenly they want to be alone. Yeah. They want to go and drink in the bars. They want to do other things that they haven't done for so many years. Maybe they got married too early, too young, and they haven't experienced a lot of things. So they want that experience.
That's true.
And they're ready to do that. I don't know if they're ready to do that. At least they say they're ready to do that. And they face the consequences after the fact. And
it's good for a short time, like we said, and then all of a sudden reality sets in and say, you know what, I want to be stable again. And then when you're at that point in your life, meeting somebody, I mean, we got lucky. We got lucky. We're both on the same page with everything that we do. And that's very, very rare. But there's a lot of people who don't get lucky, and they keep going from one to the other, like the UMAC bird that I mentioned to you. Remember the UMAC bird?
The UMAC bird.
The UMAC bird is a love bird, and it goes from limb to limb tonight saying, is that UMAC? And it never finds the right UMAC. So, I mean, it takes time, and you have to be kind of open-minded, but you really got to know a person before you go into the next relationship, and definitely before you ever get married again. So, what would be your tip of the week?
Never give up.
Yeah.
I think every relationship can be worked out.
Yes.
Unless there is really a lot of hate in between you, or someone did something really bad, or there's an abusive relationship,
Right.
you know, an
Or
alcoholic,
cheating.
or cheating,
Yeah.
which is the same thing.
Right.
Relationships can be worked out. It's been proven that married people, or the ones that are in a close, committed relationship, live longer and healthier lives. So if you can save it, save it.
Yeah, I would say so too. And if it remains happy, and you look happy, and you feel happy, you'll feel younger, and everything else fall into place.
And if you don't, if you're not happy with your marriage,
Yeah.
and there's no marriage, you live with a roommate,
Yeah.
then
Get out of it, and then you'll be even happier then.
I hope so.
Yeah. Well, we
Yes.
hope for all of you.
We always wish good for people.
Absolutely.
And whatever your choice is, we wish you luck.
Stay tuned next Friday, 1 p.m. We will be back with Tuff and Tender. What's our subject next week?
Friendship.
Friendship. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yes.
We all value our friends. And be sure and watch us on EmpowerMe.tv every Friday at 1 p.m. Tuff and Tender with Ric Drasin and Inna Tuler. And what does we follow up with?
And stay tuned for weather and traffic.
That's right, coming up next. Hi, I'm Ric Drasin, Tuff and Tender. I'm here to answer all your questions on dating, relationships, the good side, the tough side, the tender side. Every Friday, 1 p.m. on EmpowerMe.tv. I'd love for you to subscribe. I'll be here. We'll be discussing relationships and dating and all the good, the bad, the pitfalls, and the ugly of it. Stay tuned and watch me next Friday, 1 p.m. EmpowerMe.tv. Subscribe now.